The San Francisco Giants entered their 2011 spring training as the defending world champions. Their efforts to repeat fell short in a season marred by injuries. This year, the Giants arrived in Scottsdale, Arizona with a quiet confidence and renewed sense of purpose. Coaches and special assistants are passing along decades of knowledge.
That's 10 on the screws, sit down.
In hopes that the inexperienced can overcome the demands of success. Adjustments will be made as mechanics become habit. Seasoned veterans will have to come together with untested youth to face a long and arduous season. For the Giants, the journey through 162 games begins in a desert, but together is the only way it will end with another trophy in San Francisco.
All right, are we ready? Let's rock and roll. Let's go.
This is Inside the Clubhouse, the next chapter.
Oh, we gotta swing this year, baby.
I think that we're going to be, from an offensive standpoint, a team that just executes, that does all the little things right. Just kind of keeps the line moving.
Ryan Saban didn't bring you guys all here to get more athletic, to not run the bases. So this is something that we're going to constantly talk about.
Guys like Buster Posey don't come around a whole lot. I've been fortunate enough to be able to see that awesomeness that is Buster. To have him healthy running around, I mean, he automatically makes us better.
And I still can't believe last year happened. The biggest thing right now is going, I'm going to be better than last year. What do I need to do to prove to people that that wasn't just a fluke, that it's going to happen again?
Great stuff. I'd like to welcome part of the team from the San Francisco Giants and invite you guys up. Paul Hodges, who's executive producer and director. Chris Gargano, who's the senior director of all marketing and entertainment there. And Brad, who's Mr. Digital Workflow specialist. Welcome, Brad. So, that's a lot of work to put in for something that just runs on a big in-stadium screen. I'm assuming that's what that was for, right?
No, that right there is part of our regional television network. We facilitate providing them programming. And we modeled it after Hard Knocks that HBO does with the NFL. That show there is called Inside the Clubhouse. It's our Emmy Award-winning. We're very fortunate to have an Emmy Award-winning series that we produce for our regional sports network. And that airs 10 times throughout the year. And we also have it airing also on the MLB network, which is national TV. And this group up here and some, I would say, about 10 to 12 other folks. We don't have a big staff, but we have a lot of good content to produce. We're very fortunate.
And like you said about Scoreboard, there's a lot of other stuff that goes on in our department besides just that video.
Clearly. So let's give an overview of the kinds of stuff you guys are involved with. So I obviously knew that wasn't for the big screen, but that's often the perception that that's all you guys are really responsible for. So it's so much more than that today in terms of getting your brand in front of your customers. So talk to us a little bit about the overview of the portfolios, the kinds of things you guys are involved with.
Well, between that one show we just saw, and then we have our advertising, we have our Scoreboard, we have radio spots, we have internet content that's for sfgiants.com, and we also have our FTP stuff because we provide content to the news outlets.
Right. So how did you get here? How did we arrive with this incredible diversity of content?
Well, back in 2007, the All-Star Game was at AT&T Park, our home park. And Paul was there, and he headed a team of individuals that upgraded the board, the high-definition scoreboard, to a wonderful, gigantic feature, movie. It looks like a movie when you're in there. So to facilitate that board, we had to have an edit station, and we had to have great technology. But then a couple years later, we realized that, hey, we can't just produce scoreboard content. We have an eager fan base, an intelligent, sophisticated fan base, being right in the middle of Silicon Valley. we have to expand and not only do scoreboard content, but we have to reach out and, as Paul said, do website content, live webcasts, advertising, live streams of things other than baseball, just events and stuff. So we found Avid. We cultivated a great relationship with Avid. They have been with us the entire way, and now we are able to multi-platform, multi-screen, and get content to everybody.
So in 2007, it was brand new. HD was new to us. We had a small little HD or SD board, and we took over a closet and turned it into our edit suite. We put in 3 edit stations in there, and value engineered. We had Adobe Premiere running on Matrox cards, and on a 6 terabyte Rourke Galaxy server. And we were told back then, you're not going to need any more than 6 terabytes. 6 terabytes is it. Right. And I think today we have close to 140 terabytes. And
yeah, it's close to 140, across several servers. The Avid ISIS we have is 100 terabytes. And I don't even see that being enough, to really host all the different platforms that we do, all the video.
Yep. So we were there in 2007. So fast forward, we had our regional sports network, Comcast Bay Area. They upgraded, or they were installed, and they went Avid in the work of Cutting Edge. We saw them and decided to reach out and say, hey, we want to start doing what they're doing. So they came in, brainstormed, and we evolved from Adobe Premiere running Matrox cards to an Avid solution that we're living in today with ISIS 5000.
Yep, Cutting Edge being one of our Bay Area resellers that were really critical to the configuration.
Very critical into us
yeah.
thinking about the whole big idea and also with the support too.
So you didn't just wipe the slate clean though, you repurposed a lot of your equipment. So I think a lot of people here think, oh, you guys have a blank check, you have unlimited budgets to do whatever you need because you're with a National League baseball team, but that's not the case.
No, not the case at all. Right. So when we went with Avid, and we took these 5 new machines. We took our old 5 machines. We decided, you know what, we have so many interns, so much content that we need logged, and we need to ingest it. So we took these 5 machines, repurposed them, and now we have a total of 13 Avid edit stations that are just nonstop running.
That's fantastic. And so you've also kind of found new avenues to revenue for the Giants, so that's helped really keep the coffers filled to help you do more things. Talk some of the new avenues to revenue that you guys have opened up, moving well beyond simply the in-stadium work.
Well, it's interesting because the in-stadium provides a platform for others to see our work and then say, okay, what else are they doing? Well, these television shows are sold out. And we have a great sponsorship department with the Giants. And obviously, let's be honest, we're 2 years removed from the World Championship, so we do get in the door. But then we have to deliver. We have to make sure that the content is of high quality. And our sponsorship people have done really well. And then all the other avenues of content are getting sold as well. And, they're in the process. I got an email yesterday, somebody's interested in this, somebody's interested in that. Listen, we're not silly. It's a very advantageous time for it. But that's why we're here today. We have the technology to keep up with the demand, and that we're lucky to say that and fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, the more properties we start making, our sponsorship department is selling them.
Yep. So talk a little bit about the evolving economy around what supports you guys in terms of the local stations and their coverage of you guys, and how increasingly it's falling to you to provide content to them.
We have an FTP site, obviously. Most news facets and organizations do. And we have one through Major League Baseball and one that we own. And because budgets are being cut back in the local news media, we actually go to spring training, or we'll go down on the field and get a specific soundbite or tons of coverage within spring training, put it up on the FTP, and news stations will take it and run it in their news and give us credit, obviously, courtesy SFG Productions, or we'll embed a logo on the content. But it's a wonderful service to be able to say to our they're in essence our partners. They're just sending out our message, and just to say thank you for doing that, and we enjoy doing it, and we're down there anyway getting our own content.
Yeah, I mean, another example is a player will go out into the community and visit a school or a hospital or whatnot, and we'll have a camera along there, shoot it, put it up to the FTP site with a little story, and news stations will take that and they'll run it and pub us on the evening news that night.
Right, it's great reflection on the brand. So it's clearly you guys are totally about building your brand and being wherever your customers are. And while you started with the in stadium screen as your primary screen of focus to begin with. Now you really need to be everywhere, iPads and obviously on the web, et cetera. This is a key part of getting those seats sold, right?
No, you're right. You have to do this in Major League Baseball and across all the professional sports. If your stadium's not filled, you got to get the people in the park. How do you do that? You put out a great message through great content. And again, Brad here manages our content. He allows us, okay, we got a web feature today. Okay, we got to go grab this. ISIS and Interplay are invaluable to our interns, our producers, our editors to be able to do this quickly because it's a now world, as you know. I'm surprised none of us have checked our Twitter while we've been up here. So you got to satisfy the hunger and demand of the fans.
Right. And Brad, let's hear a little bit about the kinds of different formats you guys are having to manage and archive, et cetera. Because clearly you don't just get that content with one camera. You've got a lot of coverage there.
Yeah, and we definitely cover, especially in the last few years, new cameras are coming out, better technology, better picture. We started off with DV cameras, several years back. We moved to P2 workflow, which was working nice with our Adobe software. And then once we moved to Avid, it was really kind of the solution to solve all the other formats. You're working with DSLR workflow, GoPros, Nano Flash, AF100, and all those multiple formats. You have to bring it into one place. And Avid was doing a great job of pulling it together, mixing formats, mixing frame rates, mixing 720, 1080. It was kind of the best solution to get all those formats in one place and be able to edit them all together rather easily. And especially with the integration of Interplay, being able to have access to all that media in one place at all time in any project really has increased the creativity of our editors to be able to know that everything's online in one place available to them. It's helped them speed up their process, their creative process. They can sit down and edit and be creative rather than have to sit down for 2 hours and go, where was that clip of Tim Lincecum? That one great shot. They can access it in 5 minutes or 10 seconds now.
And as you were saying, Paul, earlier, it's not just the editors, it's all these intern loggers and that sort of stuff too. Talk to us about how you manage all of that.
Oh, it's on repurposed machines. It's being creative, and it's with Assist where we are now with Avid ISIS, where how we're able to have we have logging parties on the weekend. We have like 6 or 7 interns, and they're able to sit on these machines and start just focusing on logging, and they love Assist. They love editing on this.
So let's take spring training for an example. Are all those guys coming with you down?
No, so that's a good example. So we're down at spring training. We're shooting a lot of content down there. We're shooting a lot of interviews. We're transcribing that stuff. We're putting it on hard drives, sending it back up. We do have an intern that's down there in Scottsdale that is helping us log. But they're sending all that stuff up via hard drive, and interns are all logging that stuff using Assist. And as soon as we get back home, everything's sitting there ready. As Brad was saying, the editors just want to edit because they're down there shooting. We wear several hats, so we're ready to go, hit the ground running.
And there you are, beating the drum of anticipation for all the folks after a long, cold winter, ready for some ball.
Exactly.
That's great.
The one thing about formats that I wanted to get back to, because Brad was just talking about current formats, but let's not forget that 80% of our footage is all living on 3/4-inch tapes, Beta SP, and so this Avid Interplay system is also allowing us to start doing proxy workflows so that the editors can still see that stuff without having to go pull the tapes down.
Right. So I know some of the folks who are here watching you guys want to hear what it's like being with the ball players. What do they really like and that sort of thing. It was obvious in the reel that you guys ran just before you came up here. There's an intimacy there, right? You guys are trusted by them. Talk a little bit about that dynamic and what it's like being on the inside for the rest of us.
No, in all honesty, we call it the dance or the game. You have to approach them and earn their trust before you're asking them to do interviews or be mic'd up or walk somewhere with you. You can't just go up to Tim Lincecum and say, hey, Tim, how's it going? I work here too. Let's go do a feature. It doesn't work that way. You have to cultivate relationships. And, not every time you see them, it's like, let's sit down, let's do a 10-minute interview. Here's the lighting, here's your mic. It's all about relationships. They're just like anybody else. They're just like you and me. They just are very good, really, really good at something and get paid a lot of money. So we really work hard. And, our personalities, you got to check the ego at the door, make sure you're very humble when you approach them. And eventually, we'll be able to, produce features like that with players' full cooperation. That's the goal.
Yeah, excellent. Anything you want to add to that?
I think he said it all.
Okay, beautiful. So let's talk about your recent adoption of ISIS and Interplay and how that went. Brad, I'm just throwing it back over to you again because I think you were on the front lines there. Can you talk a little bit about what that experience was like? And was the equipment just dropped off for you, or you felt like you had some support there?
Yeah, it was about a 3-week install process. Again, Cutting Edge, our local reseller, was helpful in helping Avid integrate all the systems, do the install, get everything ready. But then Avid also provided the support of about 2 weeks of technical training for myself as well as the full team. We did 2 days with the full team, just kind of an overview of the system, what we should expect with everything. And then also it was really great for me to have an expert, several experts to sit down and really explain the differences between just working with ISIS as software and now you have this fully integrated Interplay system. So they spent a lot of time explaining administration, how to manage the media. They set us up with a workflow, and we talked about it for several days, what the best workflow would be for us. And we mapped out how we think the best way is to organize our media so it would be easier for our editors to save their projects, access the archives. And so it was great. They spent the time to really sit down, teach me, so we weren't left in the dark once they left. And then Cutting Edge is great about providing support once Avid did leave from that initial period. Any problems we have or any issues, questions, I can always count on them or Avid support to answer, and relatively quickly.
We all appreciate the shout out to those guys in professional services and training and Avid Advantage support as well. They're sort of the unsung heroes of our team here, so I appreciate you talking about that. So one of the things we want to do for the folks who are here, we know that there are some geeks in the audience, is sort of maybe share a little bit of the secret sauce of some of those customized workflow things that you hit on. Can you give an example of something, a tip or a trick that you might help share with some of the folks here as to how your life has been made easier, or you're able to create more stuff faster into the fact you've done X or Y or Z?
Definitely, just speaking to the different types of workflow, one of the processes that I've found to be the easiest is we actually organize our footage by format. So whatever camera format we're bringing in, it also happens to break down by the different frame rates. So our AF100, some DSLR stuff is coming in at 24 frames. So we actually have categories that kind of break down by camera format. So you might have one full project for a show that's shot across 3 or 4 platforms. So they all carry the same name, but the different footage is organized within the different type of formatting of the content. That helps us as far as being able to find the footage, easily access it. And then definitely the integration of Interplay, having assists. Before it was maybe you would shoot 5 hours of footage and it would take a week for it to get logged. Now, once it's in the system, it's everywhere available for our interns to log right away, and that stuff gets logged within the day that it's shot and is immediately available, organized, logged properly. Having the ability to set customized columns, to set menu systems, to put in the player's names so there's no spelling mistakes in the logging, because that's part of being an intern.
Absolutely.
There's going to be mistakes, so it's being able to cut out the mistakes and have an efficient workflow.
Yeah, excellent. Do you guys have any other things?
No, I think where we were before, when we were having interns log with Excel, and we had to put, the whole folders that Brad was talking about was because we didn't have anything to organize it, so we had to be disciplined and put everything in folders itself. So it's nice. All that stuff is now in our past, and it's just a lot better workflow that we're a part of right now. And Brad can attest to it because he's happier.
So we were talking about how flying on Virgin Air coming in here, you guys were on Channel 9. There's this SFG production right there, up in 35,000 feet in the sky. So how'd that happen, Chris? Did you guys set out with that as a goal from the beginning? How'd you get there?
I go back to our sponsorship department who cultivated that deal, and then they brought Paul and I into a room and they said, well, what do you think of this? You think we could facilitate, I think it's a 3-hour limit of content on Virgin America? And we said, sure. So we left the meeting and we said, okay, what are we going to do here? How are we going to do it? Well, let's make it look like a television station, a sports network. You know, we don't want to just throw some shows up there and, you know, okay, here, that's great. We wanted to parallel A&E or CBS out of New York or the other channels that you find on an airline or specifically Virgin America. So we did a graphics package. We put coming ups. We got our Hall of Fame broadcaster, John Miller, in to tape some intros and outros.
Gosh.
We put our TV shows.
We're
very fortunate.
Yeah,
you can't. That's a very fortunate situation for us to have a Hall of Famer like that.
Yeah.
And he introed all our shows, and then we just rejuvenate and refresh the content every 3 or so months, and folks seem to like it. We get emails and texts. Hey, I'm flying to New York. I'm watching you guys. You can't
we sent that last night ourselves.
We did. Yeah.
But I think it's also important to note that, say, 3 years ago, had that deal gone down, while yeah, we do a great scoreboard show, there would have been no way we could have filled an hour and a half with scoreboard content.
Right.
So, I mean, the fact that we started down
dry.
this process, breaking out, doing all the shoulder programming, then you know, now we can facilitate maybe 5 hours if we needed.
That's excellent. So how do these folks in the audience begin to build this kind of channel, this brand, this entire infrastructure type thing? What do they have to keep in mind as they begin this growth process? How would they start?
This is the key. It's all about a concept. It's all about, if you're not sold out each and every game, you've got to bring fans in somehow. How do you do that? You tell great stories about your franchise or your company or whatever it is, your product, whatever it is. That's what we have modeled our situation in SFG Productions. If you're not sold out every game, you've got work to do. And we're fortunate to be sold out, and we got to keep them coming. So how do you do it? Again, you tell great stories with great pictures, great sound, great organization. And we have unbelievable editors, unbelievable producers with that goal in mind. Let's get the folks in, get the product as in many places as you can, phones, web, national networks, whatever the case may be. And hopefully you're stimulating folks. It's the same concept of HBO's Hard Knocks. It's just a nice promotion for the NFL or 24/7. Nice promotion for boxing. Watch the match. Why am I going to watch the match? Because I know the boxers. It's the same formula.
So you really did infuse this whole organization with that vision for where you guys needed to go. I mean, it started with filling the seats, but it's so much more than that.
It is more than that. It's brand awareness. It's, you know, we have so many competitors in our marketplace. The 49ers, the Raiders, the A's, they are all superb organizations, but we have to stand alone and to stand out some way, somehow, and this is a great path to do so.
So what are you guys thinking about next? You know, you're obviously in the throes of the season now, but next time you get a chance to step back and take a breath, what are you thinking about? What are your next moves? What are the new planets that you want to inhabit?
I mean, I don't know we really touched too much on it, but the FTP workflows, getting that content out, making it faster so we can have a shoot, we have footage come back, and we can turn that around quickly because, well, you could talk about the Brian Sabian and the Bochy interviews and how that's exclusive content that we're giving to the local media.
No, absolutely. Recently, we've been interviewing our manager, Bruce Bochy, and our general manager, Brian Sabian, doing one-on-one interviews with them, and then putting it on our live webcast about 30 or 40 minutes later. But in addition to promoting it all day that it's going to be on that live webcast on sfgiants.com, we're also throwing it out to the local media sources, you know, through Brad and Paul, and the way they could get it up there so quickly so folks can access sound bites and run it in their newscast that day. And that's just, again, branding, but also decent and real information on current players or trades or recent signings that we have had. And folks are enjoying it so far.
So just to answer the question, I mean, where else can we get this content? That's where we're trying to think next.
So taking it in another direction now, what's a typical day of game process that you guys go through? Walk us through a clock for the day for the types of work that you guys do.
It depends which day, Alan.
Yeah, which day, what game?
Well, let's say it's a Monday. Just it's not going to be a national game. Just Bay Area.
Okay, well, the three of us and our editors and producers, we all meet. We decide, okay.
What time?
You're looking at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, but the game's not till like 7:05.
The game's not till
right?
7.
Long
but
hours.
It's kind of like a choo-choo train that just keeps going. You know, we just have to keep throwing the coal in it. So a lot of the meeting and the prep has taken place weeks before in production meetings,
right,
or days before in production meetings. And we'll all just sit down. Okay, Paul's got advertising here. Chris, you've got this going on. And Brad, you have to make sure the content's ready for Torrin, Matt, and Blake, our editors, to get them going with either facilitating the board show, the television show deadline, and then we have the live streaming at 5:45.
Excellent.
And it's all the shared content through.
Right. So you have a manager interview every day, I'm assuming. You have a pregame show that you're involved with, that sort of stuff. So talk about the specific programming that you're creating long before the actual game begins.
That's it. We do this live webcast. It's called SFG Live. We have 2 versions of it. One where we interview a player, and he takes questions via Twitter from our social media director, who's the best in the business, and then we roll in some features there, but then later in the day or later in the week, we'll also have an SFG Live batting practice version where we go live before the media is allowed to be inside, the cameras per se. We turn the cameras on, cover batting practice, roll in features that will either be repurposed for television or short features, which is one of our features on sfgiants.com. So it keeps going, and then within that show, we're promoting constantly the various properties that we have.
Yeah,
and getting ready for a scoreboard show, too.
Of course. And getting ready for the postgame show, right? Yeah. So what else do you guys got going on? After the show, you're archiving stuff, you're putting it out FTP. What happens after the productions for the day are complete?
We have a tape library that has 10,000 tapes off-site, and one of Brad's projects is going to be organizing and facilitating that tape library that has games as far back as the late 70s.
And yeah, that's going to be a huge overtaking to be able to get all that information in the system with the proxy workflow, to be able to not have to go back into the library, pull a tape just to see what's on, not have to read a paper log. You can access everything through the metadata. You can have, a low-res copy of the video online, really, map out everything. And that's definitely, looking to the future, where we're going to head is to get all that stuff ingested into the system, organized properly, and really be able to move forward, properly archive the stuff we're shooting now as well, to be able to make sure that we preserve the history that is today, that will be history in the future.
Right, and this is all stuff that you've already captured, that already exists. It's just simply a matter of making it easier to find, getting more ready access to it so you can reuse it. Hate to use the phrase, but re-monetize those assets, and maybe making them available ultimately for folks on demand to go back and watch a favorite game from their memory or highlights from that sort of thing.
Just add, too, when we're doing the scoreboard in game, we get a lot of players that come back and sit and enjoy.
Yeah.
So having that library accessible quickly. Hey, this guy's here. Let's find this clip. It's easy now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So it sounds to me that there's going to be more storage in your future.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot more storage in the future. Having 140 terabytes seems like enough now, and then you get 2 months into the new system and you start to sweat because you're 80% full and you have to start archiving the stuff. That's always the fear that your media manager is going to have is, do we have enough storage to work on what we need to today? And so it's great to be able to know we'll be able to archive, be able to pull it back online relatively easy, keeping it in an Avid form that's easily accessible. And that's what's great about Proxy as well, is it's not taking up a lot of drive space, and you have a relative idea of what's there on a tape, or you can pull back a higher resolution if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So walk us through what it's like for the fan who's coming in. Where are they encountering your work that you've produced? Obviously, in addition to the big screen, where else in the stadium are they encountering your work? I mean, are you selling DVDs, as that sort of stuff, in addition to the other displays around the facility?
Well, Paul's working on a great project, the app, where you could go around the ballpark and
Yeah. Well, aside from the TVs, Twitter.
Yep.
And we're so engaged with taking our content, putting it online, and having that sent out. So there's a what would you say, about 20 40% of our fans that come to the ball game are actively on Twitter.
Yeah, about that.
And so we're hitting them with content and asking them, hey, submit requests for what songs you want to hear coming up.
Excellent.
So they're seeing a lot of video on their mobile apps, on their mobile phones, rather.
And I'm assuming you're going to be doing more of that kind of stuff. Do you want to talk about the ideas you guys have to make the fan experience that much more rich in ballpark on these babies?
Well, I mean, I guess with the MLB app that we were talking about, we have increased a lot more content that's loaded in this MLB app this year that's going to be released in the next couple of days. So we're pretty excited about that.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Now, you guys got a lot going on. So these guys are SFG Productions. They're an extension of the San Francisco Giants, and we just want to thank you all for being here with us. Brad, Chris, Paul, fantastic stuff. And let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you.